Hello and welcome to the Popcorn Counter here at the Two Real Cinema Club. I'm James Rosico.
And I'm Andres Lorente.
And I've got a question for you now. I'm going to say a little phrase here, and I want you to tell me if it means anything to you. Because I think you and I are about the same age. I think this will mean the same thing to you that it does to me. The phrase I'm thinking of is a pale blue dot. Does that ring any bells?
A pale blue dot. Well, I know what it's talking about.
What's it talking about?
It's talking about Earth from space somewhere.
But do you know who said that?
Who would have said that in a... It's a film thing?
Well, only distantly.
Oh.
It's a quote from the same man who wrote the book that became the film Contact with Jodie Foster.
That would be the doctor, Carl Sagan.
Carl Sagan, yes. So when I was, it would have been about like 9 or 10, something like that. I would come home from school on a Friday, and kind of like just before tea at like about sort of 5 or 6 o'clock on BBC Two, they used to screen the Carl Sagan TV series Cosmos.
Cosmos, yeah.
So, and it was like, I think it was quite a big series, but I think it had a pretty low key screening in Britain. I don't think I even got to see all of the episodes, but I would try and rush back from school or try and finish whatever I was doing, to sit down and watch Cosmos. I enjoyed Cosmos so much, I even bought the theme tune on a 7-inch single. Big fan of Cosmos. Do you remember watching Cosmos when it was first out? Did you ever see that?
Wait a second. What did you just admit? You said you bought the theme song for Cosmos on a 7-inch disc?
It was released it was released as a vinyl single in the UK.
I think that's we call it a 45.
A 45, yeah, that's right. Yes.
Oh my God.
I probably still have it in the house somewhere.
That's a little fanboy geeky kind of thing, but
I know who I am.
That's great. Your question, I'm sorry, I got derailed immediately. Your question was something about, did I see Cosmos?
Did you see Cosmos?
Don't remember. It was on public television as a series, so it was probably on Nova, which I've mentioned.
But you're the champion of public television. Yeah, we've established this at some length.
It's brilliant. You learn stuff. It's edutainment. We used to joke in school, though, because he had this phrase, this expression, billions and billions of stars. So we would always put on our Carl Sagan voices. Out there are billions and billions of stars. We used to so that was our gag. Not very clever for a bunch of 12, 13-year-old boys.
It feels like the beginning of a your mother joke somehow, doesn't it? But the thing that Carl Sagan used to do on Cosmos was that he had this kind of this ship of the mind.
Yeah.
He would like conduct these like thought experiments, and so he would say, "Well, imagine we journeyed to a long distance away from the galaxy, or let's journey back to the beginning of the creation of the universe, or let's journey to the event horizon of a black hole, or whatever." I always find it kind of very romantic, this notion of this kind of thought experiment, this perfect ship, which was done with fairly inexpensive early 1980s TV technology.
Yeah.
I'm sure he had some kind of the equivalent of an iPad mounted on a pedestal and a little projection screen in front of him, which he pretended was the control panel of a spaceship.
Yeah.
So anyway, the idea I'm trying to get at is that here was Carl Sagan taking my 9 or 10-year-old self around the universe just before tea on a Friday. I was thinking of this the other day when we watched Alien, because I got to the end of that film and I was thinking, which film is set the furthest it's possible to get from the Earth? And I was so I would travel on TV with Carl Sagan to the end of the universe or to the Big Bang, whatever. But when does this happen in a movie? So, do you have any guesses? Well, I've done a bit of research here. I'm going to ask you, what's going to be your first guess about? And I know you're a big Trekkie, so I'm going to tip my hat in that direction. Which film do you think takes place the furthest of any movie from the Earth?
Oh man, you know me too well.
I've put you on the pale blue dot.
Well, you knew that I was going to go with some Star Trek, so now I can't come up with something clever. I'm easy to read like a book. I'm going to say not only as far from Earth as you can get, but as far from Fantasy Island as you can get. And that's because The Wrath of Khan Star Trek
Right.
featuring Ricardo Montalban. It's got to be the farthest.
Now, I've got to Google up.
I don't have any geo coordinates or cosmo coordinates, though. That's the problem.
I've been literally looking these up because these are just the sorts of things that people on the internet spend a lot of energy looking up. So
Better than me.
I'm going to see whether it mentions where the ship lands. See, look at this. See, Wikipedia doesn't even give a name to the ship, but so the destination where the ship lands.
Oh, well, that's
that is embarrassing. I did look up some Star Trek facts. I do know that I think it might be Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah, that's what was going to be another
so
guess.
This is a TV series, not a movie. They do travel to the galaxy M33, which is 2.7 million light years away.
Wow.
So that is pretty far away.
Yeah.
But it's not a movie, so it doesn't appear on my list. So I'm gonna force you to take another guess out of your encyclopedic cinematic history. Which film do you think takes place furthest away? And if you don't want to take a guess, I'm going to feed you some clues.
Yeah, feed me some clues.
Okay, 2001.
A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, they go on a Space Odyssey. In fact, they've even written it on the poster and given away the answer.
I love that film because of the opening scene, which maybe we can talk about later. But where do they go? Well, I think they're nearby because don't they leave from the moon or Mars?
They go to the moon. They go to Jupiter.
Yeah,
in 2001. So to start with, I was thinking, 2001. The final climax of 2001 does see Keir Dullea travel, supposedly kind of through space and time, maybe, but it's very difficult to tell where the final scene happens. And then, when the star child is born at the end of the film, it's shown orbiting around the Earth. So I had to draw a quick line through that one because I think 2001, I was expecting it to go a very long way, but actually, I'm not sure they go any further than Jupiter. Yeah, so not that.
Do you have more hints, or do we want to?
I do. Well, how about? Do you remember which is the first ever film that we ever talked about on episode 0 of this podcast?
Boy, we had an episode 0.
We did have a never broadcast episode.
I love that. It wasn't. It wasn't Dune, was it?
It was Dune. Yes.
We didn't broadcast the Dune.
We didn't broadcast it. I'd be frightened to go back and listen to it. I bet it's probably bad. But so I didn't realize until looking this up. Do you remember the name of the name of the planet in Dune? Some people call it Dune, but it's actually called.
Yeah, I don't know.
It begins with A.
Arrakis.
So apparently Arrakis orbits an actual star.
Aha.
Which is Canopus.
Ooh.
Do you want to have a guess how far away Canopus is?
I'm going to say it's farther than M31, so it's 2.8 million light years away.
Sadly, it's nowhere near that. It's 310 light years away.
Oh my God!
So it's close. It's like down the road.
Wow!
So it's not that far away. 310 light years.
Okay.
How about? Do you know what is the first movie that was ever set entirely on a planet that was not the Earth? Bit of film history.
Forbidden Planet.
Well done. Very good. Oh, my God.
I know.
Yes, Forbidden Planet. So Forbidden Planet, the first movie set entirely on a film that was not the Earth, set on a planet called Altair 4. Or at least on a planet orbiting. No, I think, yes, it's the planet is Altair 4.
Okay.
The star is Altair, I think. Do you know how far away from Earth Altair is?
The farthest that any movie ever has been set.
Sadly not. It's only 16 light years from the sun.
Oh, my God.
So that is virtually next door.
Oh.
So far, nobody is able to reach that Star Trek record.
No, not even close.
Okay, I'm going to try another one then. So I spread the net a little bit wider. There's a Pixar classic, which involves traveling through space. Do you remember which one ends up in space?
Wall-E.
Wall-E, yes, exactly. So the Axiom is this spaceship which is holding the remnants of the human race while Wall-E cleans up the Earth.
Yeah.
do you remember in the film where the Axiom is parked?
Absolutely. No.
And I'm afraid such a nerd, I did remember this, but I don't expect any normal person to remember
Really?
it.
No, absolutely not.
It's parked behind the Horsehead Nebula.
The Horsehead Nebula.
Would you like to guess, is the Horsehead Nebula further away than Dune or closer?
I think it's the furthest away that any film has ever been set before. It's 400 million light years away.
No, so it is further than Dune, but it's only 1,375 light years from the Earth. So even that is pretty close. So the Milky Way is 100,000 light years across. So all of these things, they're all
huge,
really close by. It's only just over 1,000 light years away.
Wow.
So it's not WALL-E, it's not 2001, it's not Dune, and it's not Forbidden Planet.
Boy.
So last week we were talking about Alien, written by Dan O'Bannon. Do you remember what Dan O'Bannon's first movie was? So he wrote it. He helped build the sets with John Carpenter. He appears in it. Super low budget UCLA movie, which turned into a feature.
You mentioned this on the last podcast. Something about True North? No, not nice idea. No, I don't know. No, I don't remember.
It's called Dark Star. Have you ever seen it?
Of course. No, I've not seen it.
Okay, right. It looks super low budget. It's kind of quite cute. It also looks like a 30-minute film which has been padded out to an hour and a quarter, which is exactly what it is. So in Dark Star, it's a small ship which has the mission of blowing up unstable stars to make the galaxy safe for humans. The main body of the action of the film happens in the Veil Nebula. Would you like to guess how far away the Veil Nebula is?
I think it's probably the farthest that any film has ever been set. So that makes it 1,100 light years away.
It is further than that. It's 2,400 light years away.
I think we found
it.
So
that held the record until I got to the next film. So I'm going to have a little aside here.
Yeah.
Which is that after kind of crossing all these films off the list, none of them have travelled further than Star Trek, and that was TV.
Yes.
I started to think, well, how about a movie which is set the furthest away from our current time rather than distance?
Nice.
As you well know, the Earth travels at about 600 kilometres a second at all times towards what's called the Great Attractor. This is a region of gravitational attraction in intergalactic space. It is the apparent central gravitational point of the supercluster of galaxies that includes the Milky Way, as well as about 100,000 other galaxies. I'm definitely not reading this off Wikipedia. I know all this off the top of my head. So do you know which film was set the longest ago, which means that the Earth will have travelled a very great distance during those many millions of years? Have a guess.
Are there humans in the film?
There are humans in the film, but also there probably shouldn't be.
Oh.
This is a really recent film, which I haven't seen, but apparently it was quite bad.
Darn it, because I have one on my list that I wanted to talk about, but no. Okay, a recent film.
A recent film.
How recent?
Like 2 years ago, I think.
Oh, my.
Starring Adam Driver.
Nope, missed it.
It's a film called 65. I think Adam Driver accidentally travels back through time 65 million years and lands up on the Earth. So travelling at 600 kilometres per second.
Yeah.
The Earth will be in a very, very different place 65 million years ago to the place where it is now.
That's right.
But I did some maths, and it turns out that the Earth will only have travelled 133 light years during those 65 million years. So even that has nothing on Star Trek. What one were you going to suggest?
Well, I was thinking about time just as much as I was thinking about distance.
Right.
So for me, a film that I had wanted to see for probably 40 years. I think people laughed at it early on, but then I'd seen some good critiques of it, including Siskel and Ebert, who gave it 2 thumbs up.
Okay.
And I found it on DVD at the library, the public library.
God bless the library.
Yes, and then there's one scene that I think is so beautiful. I use it in my class to show early humans creating fire, and the film is called Quest for Fire.
Oh,
so
no, I have never seen that.
You haven't seen it?
I have never seen this, no.
It's surprisingly good. I mean, there's some goofy stuff in terms of creating some of the animals that would have existed, and there's probably a not so accurate blend of various humans who wouldn't lived on the planet at the same time. Neanderthal, Cro-Magnon, whatnot. But it's actually really good. I liked it a lot. So for me, and there's very little dialogue, so it's a very, very visual brand of filmmaking. There's at the very end, they're sort of getting a little bit of language, which is wonderful to see. So I think of that as being far away in terms of time. So I had put that on my list.
All right, but how long ago were people questing for fire, though?
Probably a couple of 100,000 years ago at most. Maybe.
Okay, right. Okay. Well, I haven't got my calculator on me, but I reckon that will be less than a light year.
Could be, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So that was one of my choices. So I was thinking a little differently because I just couldn't. I mean, if you assume in a galaxy far, far away, that's it right there, Star Wars. Right?
Ah, yes. Well, that does come high on the list, I'm afraid. So,
does it really?
In a galaxy far, far away, a long, long time ago. But I discounted that because it's just too blooming vague.
Too vague, yeah.
I'm after hard facts here. If it's not a number that I can type into a calculator, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
So I discounted Star Wars pretty quickly.
Another film I'll mention, this is kind of way off topic, but I think when you originally posed the question, it was something about as far from where we live.
Right.
Something like that. So for me on that, I thought about this excellent, I think it's a documentary called The Endurance. It's Shackleton's legendary Antarctic expedition, and that just seemed like a very, very, on Earth, a very, very far away place, and just a great film. I mean, it's a real story. It's a documentary, but it's just a great film because of the extent they go to in order to keep everyone alive when they weren't expected to survive the trip at all. So for me, that was a far distance on planet Earth, especially from me here in the Northern Hemisphere, but also just such a distance back, too, to go there and back and have everyone survive.
There is a Kenneth Branagh dramatization of The Endurance.
I don't know if that was good or not.
Is that the same one?
This is, I think, this is a documentary, and it's voiced by Liam Neeson, I think. So I don't think there's any, I know that Branagh made
the Kenneth Branagh version is actually really surprisingly good.
Yeah. I will probably go back and look at that now. Yeah.
When you watch a film like Alien, and the crew are all telling each other, "Oh, we're kind of millions of light years away from where we need to be. Oh, we've got to get back in the cryopods."
Yeah.
Oh, it's good. But for all the difference that makes to their actual lives, if they hadn't been hijacked by a penis-shaped monster, they would have climbed into the cryopods and effectively been back home overnight. Is the way that it would have seemed to them.
Yeah.
So you're right. I think the crew of the Endurance, in a visceral way, are much further away from the Earth or from home than even something like the crew of the Nostromo in Alien. Yes,
it's a crude cryogenic experience for them. It's just real Earth cold, right?
Yes. They don't need any fuel. Exactly.
You can't really sleep through it either. If you do, you're dead.
Yes, if you lie down and sleep in an environment like that, you're not waking up. Well, I'm going to disappoint you now. We discounted Star Wars.
Yes.
But the film, with scenes which take place the furthest it is possible to get from the Earth, is another franchise which is owned by the Disney Corporation. So if it's not Star Wars, do you want to guess what it is?
What does Disney own? Star Wars. They don't own Star Trek, I hope.
They don't own Star Trek. Give them time, though.
A franchise.
Any minute now, surely.
Oof, no, I'm at a loss at the moment.
It's a Marvel film, I'm afraid.
Oh.
So the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Even though the clue is in the name, the Guardians of the Galaxy. But in that film, they have a whole bunch of scenes which are set in a place called Nowhere, KNOWHERE, Now, I had to look this up, but nowhere is a kind of a space station which has been made out of the severed head of a dead celestial. I'm not going to explain all the lore, which sits at the rip, which is the absolute far edge of the universe.
Wow.
How they managed to get there and back, in time for tea is another question.
Yeah.
But out of all the films that I looked at, I could not find one which takes place further away than the edge of the universe. Because frankly, how much further away could you get?
I'm not surprised, yeah. Well, when you cross that edge, you know where you are?
Where are you?
Right where you are. It comes all the way around. So it's actually at one and the same time, it's the farthest and the closest.
So it all depends on whether you turn right or you turn left as you exit the space station.
Exactly.
That's what I didn't appreciate. So for all of Carl Sagan's tea time adventures, I feel a little bit dirty and disappointed to say that Carl Sagan, great thinker, what a inspiring man, but he's been outdone by Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
that's really not the conclusion I wanted to come to at the end of this particular bit of number crunching. But it's true, and you can't argue with numbers.
That's historical ignominy. It's a shame that happened to Carl Sagan.
Poor Carl Sagan. Right. Time for more popcorn. I think.
Where does this popcorn come from?
Maybe we should see a film which is set a little bit closer to Earth, like on Earth.
Let's do it. Bring in my popcorn.